Could there be an ancient alien time capsule buried under the Great Sphinx of Giza? The pyramids of Egypt and the Sphinx hide many secrets. The paradox is that many do not want to come to the surface. They conceal facts that should come to light. And in particular, the pattern of erosion in the Sphinx indicates that it must have been constructed at the end of the last ice age, when torrential rains fell in eastern Sahara, and that's about 12,000 years ago. Now that 12,000 year ago mark, we know what that is. Every time we hear about 12,000 years ago, we remember that that was the Younger Dryas Comet impact event. That's also about the time of the sinking of Atlantis. That's also the time of the Clovis extinction of the northern American area. So 12,000 years ago, this is a timeline here. This, however, is in stark contrast to the conventional orthodox systemic dating of the Sphinx, which is about only 4,500 years ago. But recently, there have been chambers found, as in this entrance here, underneath the Great Sphinx of the Giza Plateau. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Well, perhaps we shouldn't be surprised, because we know that the ancient Greeks, Plato, for example, wrote about the luxurious cities underneath the Giza Plateau, under the Sphinx, under the Great Pyramids of Giza. But it doesn't seem to be 4,500 years old. It seems to be about 12,000 years old. From the drilling that they did underneath the Sphinx, they found, with the permission, of course, of Zahi Hawass and the Egyptian Antiquities Department, they found seashells embedded in the stones of the Sphinx. So how did the seashells get in there, unless, of course, this whole area was covered by water? Now, specific seismic surveys have shown the existence of several unexplored tunnels and cavities in the rocky substratum underneath the Sphinx, including a large rectangular chamber about 25 feet below its front paws, or we should say its front legs. In 1993, John West and his team were literally expelled from the area by the Egyptian government's chief inspector for antiquities for the pyramids and Sphinx, Dr. Zahi Hawass. But the pyramids, like the Sphinx of Egypt, seem to be connected in a special way with constellations such as Orion and Leo, and particularly that what we find in other monuments outside Egypt, but also outside the earth. Monuments, of course, in China, in Latin America, and also, of course, some things on Mars. Now, what makes the research even more mysterious is the possible location of the quote-unquote archive hall in the so-called Crocodile City by Herodotus, the ancient Greek Herodotus, but also the archive hall of Atlantis below the Sphinx. The quote-unquote spiritual key to guide all this research was the famous Edgar Cayce Prophecies. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet. He said that in the 1990s, there would be a cavity, a chamber found underneath the Sphinx. However, despite the cover and what many say is happening, it may seem that Cayce has confirmed and that this chamber has been found, and interest is rekindled as to what is going on underneath the Giza Plateau. According to Cayce, the chamber below the Sphinx, along with 2 others located elsewhere on the planet, contain the lost history of Atlantis, along with the lost history of the human race. Now, has this ancient time capsule been found yet? Finally? And if so, can it only hide what Cayce said, or maybe there is also the ancient history of ancient aliens who once visited the Earth, and then our culture, as many ancient texts seem to tell us, specifically the Tully Papyrus of the, Tully Papyrus is supposedly the witnessing of a pharaoh of Egypt, and he witnessed with awe, he was awestruck concerning the arrival of UFOs on the Giza Plateau, and he's saying these were the overlords of Egypt, and they were extraterrestrials, and saying these were our ancestors and our overlords. So please tell me what you think about this. This I've translated for you from a Greek article. And let's remember, keep in mind what Thoth the Atlantean said when what he wrote in his emerald tablets, that he was supposed to be credited with the building of the Giza Plateau pyramids and Sphinx. He also talks about the tremendous technology the Atlanteans had, and that they were so narcissistic and egocentric that it was only a matter of time before divine justice intervention would put an end to them, because they were doing things that they were not supposed to be doing. They were abusing their technology and knowledge. And he was right, I guess. But he said that Atlanteans did escape, and they went to various other areas of the world, set up new cities. First thing they did was build new pyramids. He also states that underneath a sphinx in one of the Egyptian pyramid plateaus, he has buried his spaceship. So who knows what we're going to find underneath these very ancient constructions. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.